Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 244 of your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, Jamie and I return this week to preview the British Grand Prix. Although, to be completely honest, we probably won't be doing much previewing of Silverstone because suddenly, out of nowhere, there's a lot going on in the world of Formula 1. First of all though, Jamie, how are we doing, sir? How's the new whip?
Oh, it's good. It's still working, so that's a positive sign.
That's a reassuring start.
Yes, now that it's cooled down a bit, the having no air conditioning isn't a problem, so that's good. Yeah, all good. Thanks to the people in the comments asking why I just buy old cars. It's because I don't have any money. So
hang on a minute, you go on holiday every other week. That's why you don't have any money.
For 20p I go on holiday.
Right, okay.
I just have friends in good places, so that's the secret.
As if you've just come on this week and immediately said to people, I'm poor, with all the stories we've had of you over the years. That is unironically hilarious.
Well, I don't have priority to buy a good car. There you go. That's the
fair enough.
So I spent 2.2 grand on it.
2.2 grand? What kind of a measurement is that?
That's a good measurement.
Just say 2,200 quid.
2,200 British pounds sterling. Yes.
British dollary dues.
Speaking of getting a new car, there you go.
Oh, he's going to segue.
Unbelievable segue.
Beautiful.
Max Verstappen has dropped a bombshell. Well, actually, Sky Italia have dropped a bombshell about Max Verstappen because the conspiracy theory that Kimi Antonelli took him out in Austria to get him lowered and third in the championship has actually slightly come true because at, what was it, 1 a.m? On
1 a.m. Italian time.
1 a.m. Italian, so midnight UK, on the 1st of July, so that's a couple of days ago now, Sky Italia tweeted that Max Verstappen has been in contract talks with Mercedes-Benz AMG Petronas. So, yeah, it's all kicking off, basically, because we've been kind of speculating with no real meat on the bone, and then suddenly there's meat on the bone because it's hit July and Max's contract exit clauses have come active. So we're just going to talk loads about that today.
Most likely, yeah. So just for further clarity, it was actually the 2nd of July that it was confirmed, but it was at midnight. So I can only assume that obviously there was something stipulated in Max's contract because we'd all always thought, didn't we, that it was, and obviously we still don't know with 100% certainty, but we'd always thought it was if he was lower than third in the World Championship. Apparently it might actually have been lower than second in the World Championship, which of course he definitely is. So people are kind of going, oh, it seems like a really odd time for them to start doing it. If his contract stipulates that if he's third or lower by the 1st of July, that's obviously going to be when they start talking about it. This might well have been decided literal years ago when he renewed with Red Bull. It is up there, isn't it? I mean, this is probably, I would argue, the second biggest driver move we could see, obviously behind Lewis going to Ferrari, which was just mainstream news, wasn't it? This hasn't quite reached that kind of fever pitch, but you'd argue to the general public, Hamilton is a more household name still than Max.
For sure, yeah.
Richard.
Exactly.
But, I mean, there's all kind of rumours, isn't there, Jamie, about what this could mean, when it could happen, what it could entail. Some people are saying it's for next year, others are saying it's for 2027. It's all a bit confusing, isn't it? We're kind of seeing a lot of information, and let's just, because we were talking about this pre-show, we've already seen a lot of other kind of media sources. We're certainly not a media source. We don't know what's going on. All we can do is theorise.
Yeah, the people in the paddock don't know what's going on. So us two sat at home are just reading what we can see and giving our own opinion on it. So that's what we're going to do. It's the clever money is people to end their contracts at the end of 2026 because
or at least have a way out.
Yes, so it's a new rule cycle. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. People are saying Mercedes have got the best power unit. It's probably going to be a power unit heavy era, but that is speculation. None of the engines have gone up against each other. All you've got to base it off is what noises the teams are making internally. So Mercedes could be the fastest, but then Ferrari could be the fastest. Audi, if all my hopes and dreams come true, could be the fastest. We just don't know. But the Red Bull powertrain journey that Red Bull are on, I don't think Max is bothered. I don't think he wants it.
No.
But yeah,
No.
the problem is for Max is, jumping for 2026 is just a massive risk because you don't know who's going to be fastest. He could very well leave Red Bull, go to Mercedes, and then Red Bull are first and Mercedes are fourth. Like, it's unlikely, but that could happen. So, yeah, I feel like all of this is probably for 27, which is why I don't remember where I saw it, but Mercedes offered Russell a 1+1 deal for 26 and 27, and he turned it down. That would make sense because I still think Russell and Verstappen will be driving for the teams they're currently driving for in 2026.
Okay, interesting. It's a big one, isn't it? Because I think for George, of course, he's been very open, hasn't he? With kind of going, he can understand why Mercedes are talking to Max, but he's on this is a very fine line of a tightrope that he's got to walk now, isn't it? Like you said, obviously denying that 1-1 deal. There's been this one theory on one side of things of going, is this Toto's play to try and make George sign a lesser contract? If he wants a 2-year deal, he might have to take a couple £1 million pay cut. It is a real kind of who blinks first game of chicken, if that's the case. The other really, really interesting bit that I read, Jamie, was that apparently it was Verstappen's team that approached Mercedes, not vice versa.
Yeah, because Toto Wolff all but put it to bed, didn't he, in Miami, I want to say, or back in April.
Yes, yeah.
When he basically said, we've stopped flirting with Verstappen now. And that was like, well, okay, they're going to go with Russell then. And then it was Verstappen's team that approached Wolff or whoever at Mercedes to reopen negotiations. And yeah, the thing is, it could all just be contract power moves because, yeah, I mean, the Red Bull are already going to give Verstappen exactly what he wants, but this is just another way of being like, look, if I leave you, you are literally going to finish last in the constructors. If they didn't have Verstappen, they would be ahead of Alpine, and that would be it. No, not even that.
They're not even ahead of Alpine. No, they are dead last without Verstappen there. If Max Verstappen didn't exist, and in fact, I'm pretty certain the gap would be bigger to Alpine because obviously everyone would move up one position.
Yeah, obviously it depends who Verstappen's replacement is and how well they drove. But say it was Lawson and Tsunoda, for instance, it would not have gone very well. Yeah, Liam Lawson scored more points in the Austrian Grand Prix for VCARB than either Red Bull driver in the second seat has done all season. So,
or more points than Red Bull scored in Austria.
Well, yeah, way more than Red Bull scored. Yeah, did you know that since the USA Grand Prix of last season, that Nico Hülkenberg scored as much as the Red Bull second seat in a Sauber and Haas?
Wild. I mean, it is, as we said on Monday, we could genuinely, as we said, be watching the catastrophic downfall of Red Bull right now. Like, this could be something that we talk about in the race will do a video in 3 years from now going, the 10 things that led to Red Bull's departure from Formula 1 or something. I don't think they'll leave Formula 1 anytime soon.
But if they lost Verstappen, he is their best asset by a mile at the moment.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah. The one thing I quite like to think about in terms of, I don't see many other people talking about this could be a good thing to talk about. If Verstappen does go to Mercedes for 26, which, as we said, I think is unlikely, but it might happen. Do you think Russell would go for a straight swap, or do you think he'd try and find somewhere else to drive?
This is exactly what I was going to talk about, because I've thought about this as well. What could, and of course a lot of things would have to fall into place here, but what could end up happening, Verstappen goes to Mercedes, Russell apparently has already spoke to Horner and kind of gone, obviously, if Max goes the other way, there's an option for him to go there. Mm-hmm. But what about, for a second, Lando Norris? If Oscar wins this World Championship, he doesn't want to be a number 2. Could you then see George go to McLaren if Lando went to Red Bull, and then we get a kind of a big 3-way swap at some of the currently the top teams? Because I've always said that Lando is someone that Red Bull should have been trying to poach anyway.
Years ago, back in 21-22, we were like, Lando's the perfect second seat driver for Red Bull because he's got a very similar driving style to Verstappen. Yeah, that would be incredible. I personally don't see it because
I can't see him wanting to go in next to Max, but I can see him, if Oscar beats him this year, wanting to go somewhere else to be the number one.
I feel like, unless we see a collapse from Lando at McLaren, I think this championship's going to the wire. So
I can see Oscar wrapping it up with like 2 races to spare. Gets into Qatar with like a 56-point lead and then wraps it up in the sprint or something.
I think Norris, I see it going to the last race because I think they're going to be so close throughout the season that if it was won at the last race by Piastri, Norris would want to get him back the year after, and it wouldn't be a 1-year thing. I think.
No.
Yeah, if Mercedes do have the best power unit and you're going into 26, and you've got a McLaren or a Red Bull, I think you'd rather stay where you are, even if you're not the number one driver. But they wouldn't make Oscar number one for 26. They would still be equal. He would just have the upper hand of being a world champion.
Yeah. Then again, though, you think heading into the new regs, and of course, yes, again, it's all conjecture at the moment. We don't really know, but obviously Mercedes apparently have got the best engine. That normally will mean anyway that Mercedes will have an advantage again over all of their customer teams, because they will have built an engine to fit their car.
Yes.
Like, I know obviously all the rules now, and it does work fantastically well, that they have to supply everybody with equal engines, with access to all the same power modes and everything like that. But they will make sure that engine is optimized to their car.
Yeah, and they've designed the engine
all I'm
for
trying
that
to
car.
think, is when we've seen a huge rules change where a factory team or a team like Red Bull with Honda hasn't been on top. I mean, I'm trying to think. The last one I can think of was probably Brawl in 2009.
But even that wasn't an engine regs change, was it?
No, but it was obviously a big.
It was a massive
overhaul.
aero shift, yeah.
And obviously McLaren obviously were with
McLaren
Mercedes before
were with Mercedes, yeah. And Braun were with no one until a month before the season when they bolted a Mercedes engine into the back.
They had to shoehorn a Mercedes engine into the back of it.
In fact, they designed that car for a Honda engine.
They had, entirely.
I mean, 2010, again, wasn't a huge change, but it was a development. And Red Bull were better than Renault, but then Renault were always trash. So.
And Renault also had a team working within Red Bull to make it work, and had done for a couple of years at that point.
Yeah. No, it is true. And obviously 2014 is the prime example where Mercedes stomped everyone with the new engine, with Hamilton and Rosberg back in the day. Yeah, I think... so you've thrown out your theory of George Russell's transfer moves. I don't know why I can't shake this, but... Okay, Verstappen goes to Mercedes next to Antonelli.
Yep.
George Russell's then obviously a free agent, ready for work. He could go to Aston Martin.
This was the other one I was thinking about. It seems like suddenly out of nowhere, no one's talking about Aston Martin anymore.
I see
potentially being somewhere you want to be.
Fernando Alonso is making lots of Alpine noises for the 4th time in his career.
Which I do not understand.
I kind of do. I don't. I think he should stick with Newey and gamble on Honda. And if it's terrible, he can still just win Monaco. But I think Alonso should stay there. But there's something about Flav and Alpine having a Mercedes engine next year that he thinks for 1 year, because Alonso is gone after 2026. For 1 year,
unless he's got like an all-conquering dominant car.
Would you rather drive a Mercedes-powered Alpine next to, well, I guess in either team, you can beat the teammate. You're probably more likely to beat Stroll than Gasly, actually. But regardless,
most definitely.
Would you rather have a terribly designed car with a monster power unit, or an incredibly designed car with a very, very unknown power unit in the back?
But Honda have had I think the thing is, again, isn't it? People are going, oh, it's going to be like Honda 2015.
It won't be that bad.
No, exactly. This is the thing. Like, Honda have got a fair shot this time round.
They have. But all of the guys who worked on the Honda power unit in the late 2010s, Red Bull poached most of them for their own powertrain.
Not most of them. Some of them.
Some of them.
But
anyway,
not most of them.
It will hamper them as an engine manufacturer.
But then you've got to remember on the other side of that, think about who Aston Martin have brought in. People like Andy Cowell as well in recent years. That obviously, was part of the huge Mercedes engine program for all those years. That, built those dominant Mercedes engines ready for 2014.
It's very true.
It's that horrible thing, isn't it? We were all hyping up Honda and Aston Martin and everything. And then suddenly it kind of feels like they've fallen off the radar because they're not doing well this year. That could be even more of a sign
Yeah, but you know
next
what? They
year-
actually are doing all right as well. They've picked it up a lot recently, especially Alonso. Since his luck turned, it's been all right, hasn't it? But yeah,
Could we be in a situation where Aston Martin are basically like 2023 was Honda in 2006, 24 was Honda in 2007, 25 was Honda in 2008. So two terrible.
so
years
Alonso's
in
going to win the
comparison.
championship.
And then 2009, Honda, Aston Martin are back. Could that be the case?
You know what? We're obviously overhyping this, and rule changes generally spread the field out rather than
But the
bringing
thing
the
is,
field together.
we don't know whether we are overhyping
True,
this or not.
but we could have a Mercedes, a McLaren, an Aston Martin Honda, a Ferrari, and an Audi, all capable of winning races. I mean, I don't.
I
think
love the
Audi
fact you
will be in there.
refuse to count Red Bull in that.
I would say Red Bull are done, especially if Verstappen leaves. If he doesn't leave, then we're fine. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very intriguing winter break and testing. We'll actually have something to talk about in winter testing this time
Oh,
round.
it's going to be fantastic. I'm
Yes.
looking forward to it.
If it's not
Make sure
Russell-
you get yourself subscribed. We're less
Oh,
than
yeah.
50 away from 1K.
If Russell doesn't go to Red Bull, do you think it's as simple as stick Isaac Hadjar in and accept you're going to finish 8th in the constructors?
No. I mean, the thing is, well, for next year, you've basically just got to... I mean, let's be fair, for Red Bull, surely at some point soon you're going to have to start looking at VCARB and how on earth they've built a car that is,
More
apparently
drivable.
the easiest to drive on the... Apparently it's the easiest to drive on the grid. Like,
Probably because
it's
it's
not
been
the
developed by
quickest car in
rookies for the
world.
last 10 years.
But in terms of... That doesn't necessarily make a car drivable, though, Jamie. They can take the
I
setup in the
suppose.
wrong direction and things like that. They've just built a car that is very easy to get, apparently, most of the performance out of it. Again, we've said it before, haven't we? What would be absolutely fantastic to see is if Max did a weekend in the V-Carb. Just
Yeah.
to see what it's like,
And you know
what
what?
it's
Now the
actually fully
championships-
capable of.
Now he's self-admitted the championship's dead. Why doesn't he do it? Give us some entertainment.
I imagine there'd be quite a lot of sponsor issues with that.
But he wears AlphaTauri clothing all the time.
No, is in terms of who's paying Red Bull money
Oh, I suppose.
to be on a car that Max Verstappen's driving.
Yes.
Would be the big issue there. And obviously, Red Bull can't just claim a V-carb for the weekend or anything like that.
Well, they could just dress it up as a promotion.
Emails can accidentally be sent to the wrong people.
Exactly.
Oh no, I accidentally sent Red Bull our whole car design and process and everything.
Exactly.
I mean, it is. But this is the other thing as well, isn't it? You think with Red Bull V-carb for next year, like you kind of get the opportunity again. I remember all these theories with 2022, wasn't it? Heading into 2023, when Red Bull built an absolute rocket ship of, Red Bull have got two teams and are effectively allowed to, experiment with two different car designs and then work out which one's
and
best.
not share information. Yeah.
Exactly, and definitely not share information. So, like, there is an element of they kind of get two bites of the cherry, don't they? But
A little bit.
I mean, this has been a huge kind of turnaround from, is Max going to Mercedes? Jamie, yes or no? Max Verstappen, Mercedes, 2026. Yes or no?
Not 26.
Do you think it's going to happen?
I think it will happen for 2027.
Interesting.
And to be honest, I can
Are
see
we-
Max taking a year out. I know I was rinsing you.
Aye! I was literally about to ask that. my whole theory about a sabbatical.
Yeah, I think he'd be better off just staying on the grid and doing what he can in the Red Bull. But if he wants to go and drive Spa 24, look after his daughter, why not?
I love the way you said look after his daughter like it was such an alien thing. Like you had no idea
Well,
whether that was a legitimate thing people can do.
based on
you said
Max's
Spa
upbringing.
24 with such confidence.
Spa 24 is what his priority is at the moment, it feels like. Did you not see his interview
Probably.
after,
Yeah, you watched that instead of the
instead of the
Formula
rest of the
1,
F1? Yeah.
Yeah. Lamborghini won Spa 24.
I saw the
Staggeringly.
massive crash in Blanchimont. That was bad.
Yeah, that was impressive. Not as good as the Ferrari last year, but still
No.
very impressive.
What about you? Max to Mercedes 2026?
I just don't know, man. The thing is, what seems utterly bizarre about this that we haven't spoken about enough is how is George Russell doing so well this year and could end up without a drive?
He'll get a
Like-
drive.
No, as in not in it. Like he could end up somewhere terrible
Well, it's just the way the cookie
through
crumbles,
no
isn't
choice
it?
of his own.
The problem is they
He's
invested.
doing so well this year.
I mean, if I was the mercenary Antonelli hater, then just stick him back in Williams and have Russell and Verstappen.
Well, yeah, there is an element of that.
That would
isn't
never happen. Never.
there? No. And
Yeah.
who would he replace at Williams? Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, get Sainz back to somewhere else. He can go to Red Bull.
Citing your
finally.
Renault.
Yeah.
He can go to Red Bull. Imagine that full turnaround. I mean, it's such an interesting thing, isn't it, that could happen. And it's not even the only driver moves we've got to talk about today, JD.
No.
Because apparently Bottas could be off to Alpine, which I actually think is a fantastic decision. We spoke about this briefly, didn't we?
Yeah, Alpine are just being a bit weird, aren't they? Because they've got one driver that they're clearly satisfied with, but
Yep, as they should be.
Gasly has not been benchmarked that much ever since the start of 2024, really, has he? Because as soon as Ocon crashed in Monaco, they started prioritising Gasly. So, yeah, he's not really had a competitive teammate since then, really. And they want to put him up against someone they know is a known quantity. And Valtteri Bottas could be that guy. And he's a free agent.
I think this is a fantastic move by Alpine. And I don't give Flavio Briatore too much credit, but I think I will in this instance. Because, obviously, who is Bottas currently contracted to?
Mercedes.
Who's doing your engines for next year?
Mercedes.
It makes perfect sense. If Alpine can maybe go, can we have Bottas for a little while? You know, can we keep him heading into the next? You know, could he be there next year, Valtteri?
Possibly.
Like that would be quite an impressive turnaround, wouldn't it? And obviously, even if that then means, you know, Mercedes can have him back on loan if they ever needed him for whatever reason. I can't see why they would. But, you know, maybe that helps sweeten the deal on those Mercedes power units for next year. That you give their reserve driver a bit of a chance, you know, and something wild happens and suddenly you need Bottas back at some point. You know he's race fit and ready properly. Mm-hmm. The thing is, as well, I genuinely think Bottas and Gasly in that Alpine could cook.
Like that would, I think,
I think that would immediately. That's like a Hulkenberg Perez back at Force India all those years ago.
Yeah,
a really good midfield.
That would immediately be up there with the Williams lineup in the midfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Like every other team has a rookie,
I think if they got that,
right?
Suddenly then you've got because we were talking about this pre-show that Alpine could end up, and it looks fairly likely, could end up dead last this year. You put Bottas back in that car, suddenly you've got an opportunity week in, week out, where at least one of your drivers should hopefully be fighting for points.
Because if you think
or
about
if they're not, it's completely the car.
What? Because Alpine are on 11 points at the moment.
11 or 12, isn't it? It's not many.
No, it's not many at all. But that's all Gasly, because Doohan and Colapinto yet to score, and Doohan obviously won't score for Jack Doohan's case. But Alpine are on 11, Kick Sauber on 26, Aston 28, Haas 29. So realistically, even if Bottas is as good as Gasly, which I think is probably about right, maybe Bottas is slightly better, if I'm honest.
I would say Bottas is slightly better, but of course you need time to adapt and everything like that. So it's
but
a fair
even
assumption.
If, say, Bottas has scored the same amount of points as Gasly, they'd then be on 22. And a few points have been taken off of Haas and Aston and Kick Sauber. So you're then in the fight. You're then in the fight for 7th, really, aren't you? So yeah, they have been fighting with a hand tied behind their back all season, and I think Bottas would solve that. But to even throw more into the mud, their final reserve driver, who's not had a shot at the car yet, is Paul Aaron, who finished 3rd in F2 last year. And
yes, should have probably won it, to be fair.
Should have done
start of the season
better.
he had, and then just got very unlucky.
He did. But he is testing the Sauber this weekend in practice, and in Hungary he's doing the same, because Sauber don't have any more rookies. They've got to do 4 rookie slots a year. 2 of them are covered by Bortoleto in round 1 and 2. But the other 2, their only rookie driver, their only academy driver, is Emma Felbermeyer, who's in F1 Academy and probably not suitable for an F1 practice session yet.
I'm not even sure she'd be allowed to.
No, I don't think she would be either. But yeah, regardless, they've gone and pinched Paul Aaron for a weekend or 2, which, if he does an Alex Dunn and is really good, could he be the guy for Alpine?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really awkward with Paul Aaron, because bizarrely he's sponsored by Porsche Estonia. Like, always has been. Like, they funded a lot of his junior career.
Well, he's Estonian.
I'm well aware he's Estonian as well. But you're kind of there going, he's just probably going to end up in sports cars or GT3s or something at some point. I mean, I'd like to see what he can do properly behind the wheel of F1 machinery. But on the other, I like Paul Aaron enough that I don't want to see him get screwed over by having to join Alpine. is the thing, isn't it?
I think if it's a choice of Alpine or never drive an F1, I think he'd be dumb to turn it down.
I think you would absolutely take that chance, but if it's a choice between Bottas and Paul Aaron, I think my money would probably... If Paul Aaron had won F2 last year, I think absolutely you got to give him a run. But I think just with the opportunity of having Bottas there, you're kind of there going, Alpine have tried to take gambles this year. It has not worked. Build a little bit of a better relationship, a bit of a rapport with Mercedes. Put Bottas in, and hopefully, it's the stupid things, isn't it? Of you get the theoretical blueprints for next year's the dimensions for next year's Mercedes engine, perhaps a couple of weeks earlier. It accidentally gets emailed out a bit sooner than it should have.
Bottas is still in the email signature.
Exactly. But it is all that kind of thing. It's the really, really little stuff that all adds up.
Yeah.
You're kind of there going, and for a safe pair of hands as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like it's a no-brainer. But then again, I've never been convinced Flavio Briatore's got a break. So it's kind of like...
Yeah. He'll just bring back Nelson Piquet.
Oh, probably it'll be something bizarre, won't it? Like he'll bring back, someone like Nelson Piquet Jr. or something really stupid. Romain Grosjean will get the seat.
Yeah, why not?
Something like that.
I think Flav would be dumb not to go for Bottas. But he's still having lots of talks with Fernando Alonso, as I said. So who knows?
Why? Don't
who
do it,
knows?
Fernando.
Could it be the fourth time lucky?
Stick with Aston. I mean, the first time was lucky enough.
Surely no other driver has signed for one team 4 different times in their career.
I don't believe so. Unless you got like some weird trickery of back in like the 60s
back
and
and forth between 2 seats or something mid-season.
Yeah. But even like a team and like a junior team. I suppose Kvyat went to Toro Rosso 3 times, was it? Yeah. So he almost managed it.
Well, he's equal.
I mean, he could well be there again at some point. We don't know.
Doubt it. I highly doubt it. Okay. Silverstone is happening 25 minutes into this podcast.
Yep.
Best race of the year. Sadly, neither of us are going.
No.
Yes. McLaren should walk it based on recent form, but it will be cold. So, relatively in F1 terms, it will be cold. So, could we see a George Russell win? And then
I thought you were going to segue over to the liveries. That would be insanity. If George Russell wins and then still doesn't get a contract, it would be so unbelievably stupid.
Quite funny though, wouldn't it?
Just painful, man. Painful. I like George. I weirdly like George. Like some of the stuff he says here is a bit cringe and everything, but I do still quite like him as a driver. And the thing is, he's doing so well in that car this year.
Against a teenager, so he should be doing well.
Yeah, but Kimi Antonelli is very good.
You see his antics since turn 3 Austria.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you're finally starting to understand the Kimi Antonelli hype.
Yeah.
I mean, What's the temperature meant to be doing?
It's around 20s. Let me double check.
So in low 20s, is Mercedes territory, isn't it?
Yeah, 21 on Sunday, and a 30% chance of light rain. It won't rain. It won't rain.
Probably won't rain now.
And Saturday is rain as well, supposedly.
So Mercedes could be strong. I mean, McLaren as well, though. Their car is well suited to high-speed corners.
Everything.
Well, yeah, that as well. So you'd think this is going to be... I mean, based on the whole season so far, you'd expect this to be a McLaren stronghold, wouldn't you?
Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, I was going to say...
12 podiums in a row or something?
12 podiums in a row is a disgustingly insane record.
The only time he didn't get a podium...
the second... Yeah, go on.
...was the puncture in 2013, wasn't it? That was the last time he didn't get a podium.
Was. Yeah.
And he still finished 4th.
Insane. Yeah. Do you know the second most podiums in a row at any venue for a Formula 1 driver?
So Hamilton's the most, I'm presuming.
Hamilton's the most with 12 at...
it's probably like Hamilton at Hungary or something, isn't it?
Hamilton at Kota, I believe, is 8.
Right, yeah.
And
he won
tied
like 6
with
of them,
Alain
didn't he?
Prost. Exactly. Tied with Alain Prost.
Crazy.
With 8 at Paul
Hamilton
Ricard.
just has some magic at Silverstone. It doesn't really make much sense, but it just works. Because even in 23, 24, and 22, when Mercedes were not really that good, he still just turns up and won. It's like, what? How is he doing this?
We didn't win in 22 or 23, but yeah, he did do very well still. Like, it's just somewhere that he always seems to be able to drag a result out of the car. And it does actually lead us, Jamie, nicely into this week's quiz.
Oh, no.
Because your quiz today, Jamie183, is very, very simple. Because I was having a look back through. Hamilton has finished every British Grand Prix he's ever started.
Okay.
Like official British Grand Prix. But only one of them he didn't score points.
Oh, 9. I was looking at that.
Correct. You have got to give me every driver that finished that race.
Oh,
you get
gosh.
one wrong, it's over. You got no time limit.
Oh, dear. Right. Well,
I
I'll
thought
try and do
you'd
it in
like
order
this
as
one.
much as possible. So Vettel won.
He did.
Webber was second.
He was.
I think Barrichello was third.
He was. Jenson Button famously never got a podium at Silverstone.
He didn't ever. He did finish in the points, but
So
I think he was like 7th in this race.
He was 6th.
6th. Okay.
So that's 4.
Rosberg was ahead of him.
He was. Rosberg was 5th.
Now the DNFs, I don't think there were that many DNFs because Hamilton finished something like 17th. So, well, there's one, Lewis Hamilton.
Yep.
For whatever reason,
6.
I picture Adrian Sutil being out of this race, so I'm not going to say him. Kimi Raikkonen,
7?
was he 4th?
No.
Was Felipe Massa 4th?
He was 8.
There we go. I thought it was a Ferrari. So I've got everyone down to 6th. There was an insane battle for 14th at one point between Alonso, Kubica, and Hamilton. So I'm going to say all of those probably finished.
Yep, that's up to 10.
Who picked up a few points? Jarno Trulli?
He came 7th, so that's 11.
Okay. Thing is I don't know who DNF'd. I feel like I've got an inkling that Sutil didn't finish, so I guess I'm not going to say him. But everyone else is fair game, so I'm going to go, just in case I don't want to get it wrong, when he's on the... It's not often I can say Giancarlo Fisichella, so I've got to say him.
Correct, he came 10th.
Oh,
That's 12.
in a Force India. Go on, then.
Yeah. Saying there was no points for 12th then.
No.
Never for 10th even.
Kazuki Nakajima.
He came 11th. 13.
Timo Glock.
He came 9th.
All right, we're doing well. So I've got the top 11. Nick Heidfeld.
He came 15th.
Wow, that BMW was trash. The Toro Rossos were... Oh, he could have been out, actually. Was this not the race where Bourdais just crashed into the back of Vettel when he was getting lapped? I will say Sebastian Buemi finished.
Correct. 18.
I'll avoid Bourdais for the
He
time
came
being.
last.
Who else? Oh, Red Bull. Oh, they were 1-2. Never mind.
Yeah, they were the first
What
two
other
you said.
teams were there in 2009 that I've forgotten about?
Oh, he's
Have
really
I gone?
thinking
I've
now,
gone
ladies and
like
gents.
I've lost my memory. I'm forgetting one team. I think. Have I got? I think I've gone through everyone else, apart from Sutil and Bourdais. There's one team left.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned every team. You're just forgetting a few
Really?
drivers. Yeah.
Oh, Nelson Piquet Jr.
Correct.
Heikki Kovalainen.
Incorrect.
Oh dear.
He had collision damage, retired on lap 36. You were bang on with
Wow.
Bourdais as well. He also had collision damage and retired lap 37. So the only ones you didn't get
So
then
Sutil did
was
finish.
Sutil. Sutil did finish in 17th.
Oh, dear.
I believe you forgot Kazuki Nakajima.
No, I said Nakajima.
Don't think you did.
I did. I was 100%
Oh no, you did. Sorry, yeah,
running
he was
back.
11th. Yeah, you did. So I think.
That's
did
it.
you mention Nick Heidfeld?
Yeah, I said
Yeah, you
Heidfeld.
mentioned Heidfeld, so it was just Sutil.
Oh
You
dear.
were just missing.
Maybe he
Adrian
crashed in
Sutil.
qualifying. I can't remember what I'm thinking of. I've got a
He
picture in
started
my
on the
head.
pit lane.
I've got a picture in my head of him having a massive crash in that '09 Force India at Silverstone. It could have been in qualifying.
Pretty certain, yeah, in qualifying he did.
Well, never mind. I did
crash.
quite well. I'll take that.
Yeah, he crashed heavily at Abbey, forcing reigning world champion Lewis Hamilton to abort his final lap and started 19th because of it.
There you go.
Sutter's accident, to be fair, was a brake failure, so we won't blame Adrian Sutter
No.
for that one. You did very well, though, Jamie.
There we go. '09 is where I
well.
live in F1
I
terms.
thought that was going to be, exactly. I thought that was going to be right up your alley.
That's the first season I remember watching, which is quite fun.
Fair enough. McLaren and VCARB, they both got new liveries for the weekend. The McLaren's one is basically the 2023 car, as far as I remember. Just give us a proper Vodafone livery. That would be sick.
No, I like it. I like the McLaren.
It is nice. But
I don't like the VCARB, which is probably controversial.
Yeah, I was a bit meh about it.
There's too much going on.
Yeah.
I like the concept because it looks like you're in the back streets of London with all the graffiti art going on, which is quite cool. But
Silverstone isn't the back streets of London.
Exactly. They should be painting something classy on it, but
something that Jamie knows all about. Except for he's never got any money, apparently. Too busy spending all his money on a holiday.
Just getting
I'm not going to let you live that one down. Predictions, I guess, is the last thing we need to do then, sir.
The scores on the doors.
What are the scores?
I'm on 34, and you're on 28. So you're going first.
Oh, this is tough. Lando, Pole. I would love to say Lewis win. That would be so good. But I just can't bring myself to do it. I'm not that much of a moron.
Or is he?
No. I almost was going to say then Lando, George, Lewis. But
the British podium.
That can't happen.
Has that ever happened?
That would be what? French did it.
Yeah,
I think the last podium. I'm sure Brits have had a 1, 2, 3 countless times back in like the 60s and stuff. But I think the last one was by the French. I want to say it was like the 1982 French Grand Prix or something bizarre. Surely we couldn't get a British 1, 2, 3 this
The last
weekend.
British 1, 2, 3 was in the 68 US Grand Prix.
Yeah,
there you go.
Thing is, I want George to do well as well, man. But I gotta back Lewis for a podium at home. Like that Ferrari last weekend looked good. Lando pole, Lando win, Oscar Lewis. I'm gonna be stupid.
That's annoying.
Get it locked
I
in.
want it to be different by putting Hamilton on the podium, but you've done it anyway.
No, exactly. Put Hamilton for the win then. Go on.
So
a 10th win at Silverstone would be insanity.
I will say George Russell in pole position.
Okay.
He got it last year in a worse Mercedes.
He did. The car was completely suited to that circuit in those conditions. But
it was but it still will be then, by mad logic.
Fair enough.
George Russell win. Why not?
No way. 4th winner of the year.
He's already won a race.
No, he's already won. Ignore me. He's still the 4th winner of the year.
Yes. Lando second.
Okay.
And Verstappen third. I don't think that's going to be the podium. I think Piastri probably will. I just want to get some lucky points for getting someone bang on. So
fair enough. So you're throwing Verstappen in the ring.
Exactly. And if Piastri wins from Norris and Verstappen, I get 2 right. So
fair enough.
There we
Have
go.
you seen, Jamie? I forgot to mention it earlier on, that Silverstone might be getting a lifetime renewal on the Formula 1 grid. Apparently,
lifetime
it could be done.
is mental. That's so.
I think though, as we keep saying before, Silverstone, Monaco, Monza, Belgium all should be given that.
Well, I agree.
know Belgium won't.
I do agree, but
all should be given that.
The practicality of a lifetime contract is insane because then there's nothing to keep them servicing the track to a good level because they know there's a lifetime contract.
You make sure that that's written into the contract.
I guess so. Yeah. It would be
and
great.
I think as well,
does.
Silverstone generates so much income anyway. It would probably be in their best interest.
Well,
you'd have to have it worded in such a way that it makes it fairness for them.
When general admission is like £300, like what?
More than that normally, isn't it? It's ridiculous. That's why neither of us. Well, Jamie's got no money.
Next year. I do want to go next year. To be honest.
Oh, there you go. Jamie's
just
got
bought
money
a car,
for that.
So. Right, end the show.
He's got Wimbledon. He's got to buy strawberries and cream and sit on the hill and all this, that, and the other.
It's going well.
You guys were giving me stick about.
Raducanu played very well yesterday. Yeah.
Did she? Fair enough.
Yeah.
I do not watch tennis. Well, thank you all, as always, so much for listening. If you have enjoyed, please make sure you get yourself subscribed. We're less than 50 away from 1k. I keep banging on about it. But we're going to keep plugging that until we get there. Hopefully the British Grand Prix is good this weekend. Jamie, I love you. Have a wonderful weekend, sir. I don't know where I'm
Love
going
you
with this
too.
outro. He's actually said it. Normally, chat, when I finish these... When we
Yeah,
finish
because you
these
leave.
podcasts-
I always say it to myself when you leave the call.
No, you don't. Because I always say it and you hang up, and I hate it. It makes me cry every time. But we'll be back next week to review the British Grand Prix.